Hey guys, welcome to the 22nd edition of Lawn Care Skull Sessions, and boy do we have a show for you today. Here with me today is Benny from Catchbow Australia. Boom!
Boom!
And you all know me as the Bearded Lawnsman, so let's get to it, Benny. Who have we got coming on today?
Very special guest today. It's our second American guest.
Yep.
Let's welcome in Brian Fullerton from the Fullerton Unfiltered, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, etc., etc. Brian, how are you?
Hey, doing good, guys. How are you today?
We're good. It is very hot here.
We have to turn the fans off. We're just absolutely roasting in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about 35 degrees, which I believe is like maybe 115 degrees your temps.
Whoa, you're kidding.
So we're in a little box here. Everything's closed up.
It would be hotter than that in here as well because we got that humidity.
Yeah,
we're super close too. So
it's about 7 degrees outside right now. I just got done plowing snow for 14 hours, and I'm exhausted. I was up for a day and a half. So midnight the snow stops falling, and then we went out and plowed snow for 14 hours solo. Very, very exhausted. I took a 6-hour nap, and then reminded that I had this for tonight. So it's 9 p.m. my time. What time is it at your guys' place?
We're just after midday.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so midday Saturday here is where we're at.
Cool.
Yeah, so but I wanted to start off by saying, now I could be putting you on the spot here, but can you greet our audience by saying "G'day, mates"?
G'day, mates.
Hey, that was awesome.
I love you guys in Australia, man. I've talked to Oasis Lawn Care. I've done coaching calls with people over in Australia. You guys on our podcast are like our probably fourth or fifth biggest country or continent that listens to the podcast. So there's shout out to everybody in Australia. There's so many of you guys that show love. I was just telling my wife Liz in the room a minute ago before I jumped on here. I said, she goes, "Who is it with?" And I said, "These guys in Australia." She goes, "You have so many people in Australia that follow your content." I go, "It's the wildest thing." But shout out to everybody in Australia.
Yeah, and thank you very much. And we were going to touch on this later on, but I was going to say, you know how funny it is how many people try and use Brian's 10 codes on the Catch Pro website.
Hey, call it in.
And then I get abused saying that the Brian's 10 code isn't working for the Equipment Defender and the ISO tunes and the Ballard products. And I say, guys, that code, that's just an American or a direct code. You gotta, So it truly is amazing the size of the following that you have.
That's fun.
Just while we're on this topic as well, I was just going to set the tone again for the audience. Where exactly are you located, and how far is that from, like, say, a coastline or a beach?
Yeah, good question. I'm in Michigan, which is we call it the Midwest. So it's Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana. That's kind of like in the heartbeat, the middle, and then a little bit to the right towards the east of the country. So Canada's like about actually an hour down the road from me.
Okay.
There's a bridge and a connection. We can go to Canada. If we go north to Canada, it's a good probably 6 to 7 hours. And then from the East Coast, it's about 12 or 13 hours at the most. So we always say, like, we do the hand thing here in Michigan, so this is what Michigan looks like. So I'm like right here. I'm like, Detroit's down here. I'm like over just a little bit towards the middle. The middle of the state is Lansing, Michigan. That's our capital. So I'm between our capital and Detroit in the suburbs. It's a little bit more rural. So there's farmland, but there's also a lot of commercial, a lot of industry. And it's just a big smorgasbord of just hardworking blue collar people,
Yeah, no, the reason why I ask is because Australia has maybe a little bit smaller land mass, but we only populate the coastlines. There is nothing in the middle of the country. Like, there's some, Aboriginal villages and stuff like that, but there's literally no societies.
Wow.
So it's always funny that we look at it, the land size, and they're comparable, but you guys have 300 million more people,
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, I say that sometimes too when I travel or I go across the country or fly in an airplane. You look out the window and you just there's people everywhere. But it's very sparse, very sprawled out. There's your major cities and all that fun stuff, of course. But it's wild how far and wide you can go in the country and just see people everywhere. Just even if it's just some rural hillbilly out there, you know, like doing his thing. But yeah, there's people everywhere, man. But in all different ages, you know, shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, religions. It's America is like a melting pot, they say, right? And so where I live in Metro Detroit, there's a lot of Middle Eastern folks, you know, Arabic folks. There's Black, white, Asian from China, Japan, with all the automotive industries because of the, you know, the automobiles. So it's wild. There's literally a little bit of everything and everybody here, which if you like to eat food is a great, that's a good thing because you can get Middle Eastern food, Chinese food, Mexican, Italian. It's wide open, and don't let this figure fool you. I like to eat, so
I'm lucky. I can. You're only getting the top half of me. I like my food, and you guys are definitely on my to-do list. Getting over there and having a good feed. But
yeah.
Now you talked a little bit about the snow before, but I was just wondering if you could sort of put some perspective to the audience about when you started cutting grass and how you got into that.
Yeah, really simple. I was cutting grass when I was a young kid, you know, 10 years old, just trying to make some money back 10, 20 years ago, right? It was in the US, it was Subway sandwiches. And there was little $5 foot long sandwiches. There's a store that opened up about 2 miles down the road. It was just far enough to where like it would be a 15-minute bike ride, and my mom was comfortable with that, but not, you know, 30 minutes away where she didn't know where I was, right? It was down a dirt road. And so I just wanted to make some money to have Subway sandwiches. A franchise opened up down the road. That's about as simple as it was. That, and I always wanted to buy fireworks when I was a kid, right? Just super simple, super humble beginnings, right? So I mowed lawns when I was 10 years old. Had a little 3 horsepower push mower. I don't even know where we got it. You know, it was just something in the shed. And it was not self-propelled. I don't even know if it's discharged. It might have been a mulching mower. It was, I remember it just being a piece of junk, but I was a little guy. I was probably, I don't know, 60, 70 pounds, just pushing through like, you know, like this way, you know, with, it was taller than me, you know, and I wish somebody would have snapped a photo back then because I was living with my mom, obviously. We grew up in a trailer park. So I was cutting all the lawns of all the little trailers around where my mom lived for, you know, $10. And, you know, when you're 10 years old and you go cut 4 lawns in a day and you make 40, $50 cash, like, dude, that's a lot of money, you know?
You already had the route density down.
We had something like that. But it was all about, I just wanted to buy fireworks. I just wanted to go buy some sandwiches, nothing fancy. Really, I wanted to save $1,000 for my go-kart. I had always wanted a go-kart when I was little. My family came from, you know, super humble beginnings. No money, divorced parents, nothing fancy. We lived in a trailer park. And I always wanted a go-kart, and a good go-kart back then was $500 to $1,000. So that was kind of my goal. I actually ended up getting that go-kart a couple years later, which was super cool, and actually sold that go-kart for the down payment of my first car, because you can't ride a go-kart into town, right? And then so I did that for about 4 or 5 years. I ended up working at Little Caesars, like $5 pizzas. And do you guys have those in Australia?
No, we have Pizza Hut, we have Domino's, and then we've got we had Pizza Haven. That's gone now. They're basically the 2 big ones now.
We used to actually have like Pizza Hut pizza restaurants, and it used to be like, I remember as a child, like if you had like a family thing, you'd all go to a pizza restaurant, you'd get all the desserts. But they closed it all down.
Yeah.
Now it's just you order a pizza and there's nowhere to sit. You can only order a pizza and get it delivered.
Same with Sizzler. We used to have Sizzlers that you could go and eat, and now like
he wouldn't know Sizzler. I think Sizzler is just.
Oh, is it?
I think Sizzler was just an Australian. It was Sizzler.
Okay.
Sizzler was essentially like a all-you-can-eat buffet of every type of food.
You know, that's what I like.
We have like sounds good to me. We have like Golden Corral or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that anymore. It seems like everyone just wants to eat at home these days.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's it. So if you imagine the Pizza Hut, I was like the little 16-year-old kid, you know, just slinging pizzas with the greasy face, you know. I did that for a couple of years. I learned a lot about business, franchising. It was a fun job. I actually got fired from that job. It's a whole story, but I got let go from that. I was 20 years old, maybe 19. And I said like, well, what do I do now? I ended up working at True Green Chem Lawn. So I was fertilizing lawns. And so back in the day, it was like monster.com, right? So I was a store manager. So I said, let's Google or go on Monster for jobs with manager. So I saw route manager. So I had no idea about True Green, knew nothing about fertilizing lawns. I just wanted to make 10, 15 bucks an hour, start paying my bills, right? So it's so funny. Like I thought I would be managing people fertilizing. So I do this interview with this guy at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he goes, with the back and forth, the niceties, I get the job. And he goes, okay, well, we'll see you here at tomorrow morning at, 6 a.m. And I worked restaurants, which was nights and weekends. So now I got to be up at 5 a.m. to be at a yard 10 minutes down the road from my house at 6 a.m. And so I was in the tanker truck spraying lawns. I was managing my route. I thought I was going to manage people, right? So I have, just funny how that worked out. So I didn't mind True Green. I actually liked working there. It was a decent job. I just didn't like the chemicals and the you're wearing the rubber boots, the long sleeves, the rubber gloves. If you do fertilizing or lawn applications, I'm not sure what you guys call it in Australia, but it's fun. It's just I didn't like the chemicals, So the long story short, this all came to a head. I remember fertilizing a lawn. I was making $11 an hour. It's 90 degrees out. I'm spraying lawns, working with the chemicals, right? And this other like lawn care rig pulled up across the street. So I'm sitting in my truck, just sweating out. And these two kids, I call it my Baywatch moment. These two young dudes, they're probably the same age as me. They hop out with t-shirts, shorts, tennis shoes. They got the earbuds in. They're listening to music, and they mow a lawn. In the same 20 minutes it took me to fertilize this lawn, they mowed the neighbor. They probably got 20, 30, 40 bucks. I'm over here making $11 an hour, and I used to cut grass when I was a kid. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to be in this tanker truck for the next 30 years. What do I do? So I said, you know what? I'm getting back into cutting grass. I had no idea what that meant. I had no business plan, no business knowledge. I had no money. My unemployment was denied. So I had zero money to my name, because I got fired. That was later reversed, which was great. So I got back paid. But anyway, so about a couple of days later, I was Google searching, or maybe on YouTube, lawnmowers, first lawnmower. I went to my local dealer. I bought a 48-inch walk behind, bought a little Tractor Supply trailer, little retail trailer for like $600, maybe $800. And Brian's Lawn Care was like back in business. And I had called all those same trailer park customers. Hey, do you guys still need the lawn service? And they're like, yeah, like we've been looking for somebody reliable. We haven't found anybody for 5 years, I'm like, well, I'm back in the business. Give me a chance. And so that was it. That was 2005, 6, 7-ish when all that started, 2007.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty of our industry. It doesn't really matter where you're located, but you can really form a business being unqualified, whether it's business type or skill type, you're able to be your own boss. And depending on who you are as a person, you'll either succeed or fail. So what I wanted to know was we do know, so you started your lawn care around that 2007 mark. How many seasons did you work before you got into the snow game? Because that's obviously quite a big leap then in a different direction.
Yeah, really simple. I think I did it from day one. Because it was just what you do, like lawn and snow. It goes hand in hand, like hot dogs and ketchup or whatever. I don't know. Like it's just what you do. So I had some snow blowers that I bought. I think my mom might have had one, same thing. Like I think my mom was my first angel investor. You know what I mean? So
They all are.
Yeah.
thank God for mom and dad, right? Back in the day. So we had a little snow blower, and I would just do my driveway for $20. Same thing. I mean, as humble as you can imagine, just out there snow blowing driveways. And I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to make something happen. But you know what? We would get a snowstorm, and we would get 2 to 4 inches of snow, which is a decent little snowfall. And I would make $400 or $500 in 4 or 5 hours. And so like the lights went on, and I'm like, okay, like we're doing it, we're figuring it out. Now I did that for about a decade until I really got comfortable and had some money to buy a nicer truck, buy a snow plow, hire some more guys. We have a little bit bigger snow outfit now. But back for about a decade, I was just using snow blowers, and we would still make, 5-10 grand through the winter. And it was enough to take care of my bills when I was a single guy. And that's all it was, so nothing fancy, but it kept the bills paid.
And does every lawn care business that has a snow season, do they all do that, or do they typically move to something else? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it really depends, right? Because just because you're in like the lawn doesn't mean you have to do snow.
That's right. Like,
yeah. Just because you're in lawns doesn't mean you do fertilizing, right? So I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know percentage wise, but here's what I can say. If you want to do snow, you're going to do it. If you don't want to do it, you do not want to do it at all. Because there's a lot of guys that they take 3 months off. They go hunting and fishing, and they go up north to Canada, and they just hunt. Other people do construction or work, winter jobs. It's you got to be a special person to do snow, because you're kind of on call for 3-4 months, so from December through even the first part of like March, April, if it snows morning, day or night, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, you can't go on vacation very much if it's just you. So it's a tough business. But I think that's why we make the money we make doing it, which is pretty good money. But like, for example, last night, it snowed 5.5, 6 inches of snow. And, I'm up for 24 hours straight, 30 some hours, but I didn't want to miss this either. You know what I mean? So it's just part of the business. So if you want to make the money and you want to be kind of on call, rock and roll, but there's a lot of folks, as you can imagine, that don't want to do that. So they'd rather go work at, Amazon for $16 an hour. And that's totally cool too, because I get it. Because if you do that, then you can at least go on vacation, you take a week off. But yeah, here's the thing too, though. There's construction guys, asphalt guys, brick paver guys, roofers. Everybody's got the big trucks, right?
Yeah.
So like to make money in the winter, there's only really like 2 options, right? Like you take the winter off, or you go do snow. And so everybody in every other industry does snow, because they all got the big trucks and they can all get a snow plow, right?
Yeah, because for us, in our winter time, especially where we're located, the temperatures do drop a little, but if anything, it just makes for a comfortable work day. So the grass does slow down,
Sure.
Maybe 50% of the mowing is what you'd be doing, but we get right into our garden cleanups, like our mulching. That's when we do a lot of our turf care, aerations and everything like that.
Sure.
At the beginning and the end of the winter season is the most lucrative. But like tree lopping and all of those things. And so over here, if you're a really proactive person and really chase it, you can make a lot more money in the wintertime than you can just cutting regular lawns.
Sure. Yeah. If you look at like the US and you cut it in half, we call it like the North and this is the South, right? Really, really fancy. But everybody in the South, they don't get snow, right? So they can all do mulch, pruning, leaf cleanup, landscaping. But when you're kind of like Virginia, Tennessee, like the middle of the country and above, it just gets too cold, right? So you can't do the rest of that stuff. The trees are frozen, the leaves are frozen. So yeah, I don't know. Like snow is kind of like a love-hate game. I don't totally love it. I don't totally hate it. I like making the money. So that I mean, where else are you gonna go to make $300, $400, $500 an hour? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
to
me, I don't know.
Evil.
Well, me personally, what I sort of took from what you were describing about it. Now, I've been self-employed ever since I left school, which I left a little earlier as well. So right now, like the way that I see myself is I'm completely unemployable. I just
Cheers.
would, yeah, it's just who I am. I've done it for so long that I like to take over. I like to make my own decisions. I can work in a team environment and I can also be told what to do. But when we get to a point where it's like, if I don't agree or whatever the case may be, it just doesn't function with me,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have the 11 years of just being trash. And then I jumped out on my own. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back. No way I'm going back to that.
Well, that's a pivotal moment in business, and being self-employed, because it's kind of like the trapeze artist, right? Like you have to let go and you hope that the other rope is there.
Yeah.
And frankly, I was 20 years old working at True Green. And the reason I went full-time in lawn care wasn't really my choice. I guess it was my choice, but not really, because I went back one year to True Green. We finished out the season. We get laid off for about 3 months. And then we come back in February, March for what they call spray training. So it just kind of gets the rust out. We all learn how to spray again. And it's just kind of like get your truck ready to go. It's a BS day, right? So while we're there, funny story, my manager, Kevin, I won't forget this moment. He was like, "Hey, Brian, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Hey, Kevin, like spray training day, right?" And he's like, "Okay." So the weird thing is I go through the whole day, 8 hours. And at 4 o'clock, he goes, "Yeah, so like, you got a minute?" I'm like, "Sure, bud. What's up?" So he's this 40-year-old guy. He's a really nice guy. And he goes, "Yeah, so we didn't expect you to be coming back this year." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, we filled up your truck with another guy." Okay. Like I got a positive attitude. I was like, "Well, put me in a different truck." He goes, and so this is like 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, right? It's not like what it is today. But he goes, "Right. So we don't have any more trucks for you." Okay. So like I wasn't getting like putting it together. And he goes, "You don't really work here anymore." I went, "Oh, okay." Like, dude, like I had nothing, right? So I was actually pretty scared because I had just got fired, 18 months ago from Little Caesars. And I'm like, "Oh no, we're doing this all over again." Right. And so he thought that I was doing my lawn care thing. My thing, right? That's what they call it. So I said, okay. So I had about 6-8 weeks. I had March, April to put together enough income to go full time. And back then it was like 25, 30,000 bucks. So I knew back then every customer was worth a couple $100 a month. So I made this Excel spreadsheet on a little netbook. I had it color coded with different lines. And I was like, okay, if I can fill this route with 30 people and make $100 a month, that's $3,000 a month. And I didn't know gross or net or profit and percentages. I was a 20-year-old kid. I had no business sense. But I just remember calling up and passing out flyers and calling people and passing out flyers. And literally like around mid-April, I remember like punching somebody into my computer, my Excel spreadsheet. And, you can like make the little formulas, and I'm not that good at that stuff, but it went from red to black, and it was enough money for me to pay my bills and make what I used to make at True Green. And I was self-employed from 2007 forward. But I don't, I always wonder, people ask me like, how do you go full time? And I'm like, I didn't make that decision. I got pushed out, and I always wonder, because I'm a very security driven kind of a dude. And I always wonder if I ever would have like made the jump. And if maybe that's just how God had his plan for me, was for me to get fired to like give me the push I needed to go full time.
It's a very organic tale of, one door closes and another one opens.
Yeah. My push was, I was on my way to work one night and I got hit head on by a drunk driver. So, so I had this massive accident, cut out of the car, hospital, off for a month or so of work. And when I was off, they actually demoted me, because when I came back, I couldn't fulfill the same duties because I was on light duties and things like that. Couldn't drive my forklift, and I was quite high. I was on decent money, but it was kind of like just the flick of a switch. I knew that I was going to get a compensation claim.
Sure.
I was kind of not lucky in the sense that I was in an accident, but lucky that I knew that I was going to get paid out, and I'd have like a bit of collateral there to throw into bits and pieces. And I hit the ground running. So I'm only 7 years into my business, and we just bought a house. We're expanding, looking at trucks. Although over here, I don't know what it's like over there, but we've got like 8-month wait times on trucks. It's crazy.
Yep.
Bonkers over here.
Yeah. I have an order in for one, and I haven't even thought about it. Like, I put it in on Halloween. I know that was the date. Whatever, it's end of February almost now. So that's the November, December, January, February. It's 4 months. And I emailed my guy actually like 2 days ago, and he's like, no build date yet for your truck. So it's going to be, I'm hoping by spring, like for us, April, May, June, like 3 more months. I'm not sweating it yet, but I'm getting antsy. I'll tell you that.
Is that Cybertruck?
No, shoot. I wish, bro. You need that Corey Ballard money for that,
So. Speaking of Corey Ballard, I've always wondered, because I've, doing the brand ambassador thing myself, it's been awesome. Like, it just adds so much to my sort of job. Like, it's not just, I don't know, I don't have hobbies outside of work really now, especially with the podcast. So it's awesome to, do the stuff that I do for Skag, and they look after me too. So I was just wondering, who was the first person who approached you? Like, I know that you're with Xmark, but was there anyone before that, or did you sort of seek people out?
No, actually, I reached out to them. It was Mechanics Gloves. Do you know, like,
yeah. We have them here too, I think.
Yeah.
Super popular. I used to wear the ones that they're just like the thicker ones, like working out, with hand, shovels and all that. So I had like 50 subscribers on YouTube. Maybe I had been on YouTube for like 3 months. I reached out to them because I just love their gloves. I mean, they're $20 gloves, right? So, but the guy I talked to, his name was Jeff. He shot me an email and he said, hey, we'll send you out 3 pairs of gloves to do a review. Awesome. What do I know? So I had used Mechanics Gloves for a decade, right? So he said, yeah. He goes, if somebody wants to buy them off of our website, we can give you an affiliate code to track it back to you. Now, there was no kickback or anything like that, which is fine. I had no idea what I was doing. But he goes, what code do you want? I don't know. What do you mean? What code do I want? So I had no idea I have no idea, right? I still have no idea. So he goes, well, we'll do Brian's 10. And so anybody can save 10% on our website. And I'm like, sure, awesome, like rock and roll. So that video is probably still up on YouTube. It's probably like I literally remember I was at my apartment complex and just went around the back side of it. I was just filming it to the grass. I didn't show where I was. It was kind of a weird video, you know. But I think it was mechanics gloves, and I was so excited that they sent me like $30 of free gloves, you know. So
That's awesome.
And so when we know that you had the lawn care going for a little while, and then YouTube kind of started organically, but what was the time difference from when you were in lawn care to when you actually started doing YouTube?
I had been in business for 10 years.
Yeah, okay. And when you started the YouTube, was it one of those things where it sort of took off a little bit organically and something flicked and you went like, hey, maybe I can run like this and this is another avenue for revenue?
To be honest with you, I never started YouTube to make any money. Never once. Now, if you start YouTube to make money, that's totally cool too. Because you can make a lot of money being an influencer, building a business, sell something, shirts, t-shirts, training programs, whatever, real estate courses. I don't care. You can make a lot of money being a YouTuber. That there's no doubt about that. And if you want to do prank videos or podcasting like Joe Rogan, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made, but it's more than just YouTube. You're like a business person, right? So I never set out for any of that. I don't even know if we're really that good at any of that. I just created some content to help other people. Literally, the whole story with YouTube was I bought my wife a camera. She wanted to do makeup tutorial videos. So she likes makeup and all that mess. So this is like, 6 years ago. So if you know like trends on YouTube, one of the big trends the last 5 years was makeup tutorial videos and how-to videos. Yeah. So those girls kill it. They make money. So I always joke with my wife, like, if you would have done it, you probably would be a millionaire, literally. Because she's great at makeup. She's great on camera. She's just pretty and happy and bubbly, like the opposite of me, you know? But so that was always the joke. But I bought her this camera. It was like $800. We had no money, guys. Like, we had no money. I sprung for like this $800 camera, put it under the Christmas tree. I felt like a hero and also a zero at the same time, because it was like our last $800, you know? So the whole story was it sat under the tree for a couple months. It's like March or April. And I'm like, hey, are you going to use that camera? Like, let's go, you know? And she's like, stop pressuring me, you know? And, I don't know if you guys have wives and all that mess, but you know how that goes. And, so I said, well, hey, there's this, at that time I was watching YouTube videos of like Geek to Freak and a couple other lawn care YouTubers back in the day. And there was no such thing, by the way, as lawn care YouTube, right? Yeah. Like, it wasn't a thing, like affiliates or influencers or it was Keith Kalfas and Geek to Freak, right? Like, it was humble beginnings. And these are like OGs if you've never heard of these people. So I was watching these guys and I'm thinking, and I had watched YouTube for a decade, you know, like I had watched YouTube since 2005. Like I've seen probably half of YouTube, which is pathetic. So I was really excited about the platform, but I never thought about uploading to YouTube, right? Like, that's what other people do. Like, that's what internet people do, or weirdos, or people in California. I don't know. It wasn't for me. I'm a Midwest boy, right? Like, I go work in factories. Like, that's what we do here. It's, you don't find people making money on the internet, you know, in Michigan. Like, we work with our hands and we go do blue collar work. You know what I mean? So anyway, I had this lawnmower though I was trading in, and I said, can I shoot a video on it, upload it to YouTube, maybe help some people out and do a review? And that was it. And so I did this like 14-minute video. It was like a little walk around 360.
I watched it recently. I watched it recently when I was sort of thinking about some things to ask just to get a timeline.
Yeah.
And
so
I was
that's
amazed.
my first video.
I was amazed that that's only 5 years ago, correct?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's still my first video. I still have it up there. And I'm not even in that video. Like,
oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just me like doing this walk around
POV.
thing, you know, because I'm not going to be in the video. That's for weirdos, you crazy people.
Well, I gotta say, right. So when I started Catch Pro, I did not want to. I was that type of person where I couldn't do oral speaking at school. I was afraid of it. I don't do speeches of any form. And at weddings and things like that. Then all of a sudden I started Catch Pro, and a family member who was helping me sort of kick it off is like, we're going to have to shoot some videos. And I always said, like, okay, no dramas, just keep it off me face. And and then eventually the way, like, I had no option. People just they loved the Catch Pro, but they wanted to know who was behind it. And
sure,
once, even though I still don't like it, once I made the decision that, okay, let's put a face to the name, we started to get over. The sales were going up, and it is really funny for me now because people watch the videos and then they call in, and we're a small business still, so we don't have a call center. Like, I take all the calls, I do most of the correspondence. So people, and I also must have a recognizable voice. So people are like, is this Ben? Is this like, I'm watching you on my computer right now, and it always embarrasses me. I always like, yeah, that's me, but I'm just a normal dude, right?
Yeah. Maybe BJ wants to be the camera guy, and you want to be out front.
To be honest, I'm not too bad in front of cameras. I like making videos. I definitely I just put up the other day. I did the WAP in the rain.
I sent that to him.
Oh, did you?
Was that him?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. I got that, actually.
Yeah, I've done a few things. Yeah, it seems when it starts to rain, I sort of start to get a bit crazy. I mean, if I'm already wet, I may as well do something fun in the rain. So that's how we do it. I enjoy it. It's hard though. Like, it's a lot of work.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm like Ben. I'm not Mr. Extrovert or outgoing, or I know how to like have a conversation, barely. But I'm not Mr. Video guy or out front. I'd rather be. I think, look at my job, right? Like, I was working restaurants. I worked in a tanker truck all day, and now I mow grass. Like, I'm not Mr. People person, right? Like, I didn't want to talk to people, like, I don't want to sell people, which is ironic now, because like, people think I'm Mr. Salesman, or I'm always talking to people, or we have YouTube and the podcast or whatever, right? But really, it's nothing like that. I just personally want to help a bunch of people, and that was the premise of that first video. Like, people sometimes are like, you do a lot of product reviews on your channel, and you're always talking business. And I'm like, well, yeah, our first video was a review video. Like, that's the idea. I'm not a vlogger. I'm not a daily vlogger or anything else. I'm not trying to be anything else either. It's just my personality, my take on things. I want to know the numbers, the details, the stats. Can this make me money? And so that's kind of what I think our channel is a little bit more known for. But man, doing YouTube was fish out of water, like times 10.
I love it how your videos are really transparent. Like, you give the good and the bad, like, experiences that you've had and things like that. And the fact that you partner with everyone. See, being a brand ambassador for Xmark, does that, when you partner with other people to do demos and things like that, is there any conflict of interest there? Because I do a few, but just wanted to see what you thought.
No, I try to keep it neutral, like you were saying, because if I only have one brand, I'm going to be pretty biased, right?
Yeah.
So I've talked to the companies too, and they're like, well, let's be exclusive. And I'm like, okay, I'll be exclusive, but you got to pay me like $100,000. I haven't got that call yet, obviously. So So that's funny right there. Everybody thinks we make like $1 million doing YouTube. That is not the case. If I did, I would tell you. It's not even close. But here's the deal: if I was just using one brand, A, I would be biased, and B, I wouldn't be open-minded to what else is out there. You know what I mean? So when I do a video with Cub Cadet or Bobcat or whoever else, I like seeing what else is out there. Like I think you'd be naive or ignorant or one of the two if you just thought like what you did was always right, about anything, right? So they've never had any issues with me reviewing or working with other brands. It's a breath of fresh air too, like a great example. I love Exmark, but they had a stand-on mower the last couple of years, the Staris in the US, didn't do too well. They knew it, we knew it, you knew it. And some other brands came out with some great standards, and it made Exmark go back to the drawing board. and so they got humbled, whatever you want to call it, and they owned it, right? And in 12, 18 months, they came out with a new mower to replace it. So that's a good thing, because we win when the companies go back to the drawing boards and make a better product. So I that's what it's all about to me. Is we're not trying to like bash anybody. Some people just are negative, or they like the bash, or they like drama. I just don't want to make a YouTube channel about any of that. It just doesn't seem like very productive, because here's the deal. We're out mowing grass for 8 hours a day. And then you get home at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and you want to unwind, and you go on your phone or your computer or your TV and you watch YouTube. Like, the last thing you want to do is, at least for me, is see somebody complain or be negative or be drama. You just want something fun, upbeat, like escapism, So that's kind of what I do with my channel. I just try to keep it fun, keep it light. And no shade to anybody doing something different. That's the best part about YouTube. Everybody can do whatever they want, But yeah, I love working with multiple different companies and brands, just because it gives us the opportunity to have conversation. And I'm in this like fun, unique position where like I get to talk to a bunch of people. They give me feedback, and then I can go to the company and say, hey, have you considered this? Or can you guys try that? Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. And that's okay. And the more the bigger we get, the more hopefully I don't know, like clout we have to make suggestions. And sometimes they listen, and that's the real fun part, where they hear from you guys or people watching, and they talk to Ben, and then Ben can tell Toro, or somebody can tell BJ, and BJ can tell Skag. Like that's where change happens. And that's, I don't know, I love supporting other people that have brand deals and have these partnerships, because why not? I mean, it's hard work, BJ, what you're doing, and nothing's free. I always say nothing is free. No, I mean, you might get a mower or a demo, but it's not free. Like, it takes work to make YouTube videos and podcasts. It's business. And so I'm always the biggest fan of people that get these brand deals, because they're trying, and BJ, that helps you, that helps your family. I don't know if you have kids, but that helps put money back into your family's checking account, and lets your kids have better food or private school or whatever. Like, that's the cool thing about what we're all doing. It's just people helping people win.
And it makes the job fun, like funner. Like, I get to shoot content, and you know what? Skag is so good. Like, they just let me do whatever I want. They're really good. Yeah. Like, they haven't capped me, and I'm pretty out there. Like, I don't know if you've, obviously Ben sent you a little bit of stuff, but I'm completely branded up all the time when I do my videos, and it's good.
It's harder on my end, because I have a completely different philosophy than the actual marketing team. So, sure. I do some work with Hustler, and we have a brand here called Bush Ranger. But Bush Ranger, they're rebranded Spartan mowers. So they're just Spartan mowers, and then all their handheld equipment is Mariama. You guys have Mariama? Yep,
we do.
So we have those lines come in, but they're called Bush Ranger. And it's just a way for them to sort of make their own brand as a distributor. But I do work for them, Hustler, and this Bushranger brand, and I always say, you know, like, let's show a video of, you know, us on like a hill sideways, or let's do this and let's do that. And they're like, no, we just, you know, just cruise through and we'll get some shots of this. And I always say to them, let's be as organic as we possibly can. Like, all of our Catch Pro videos are literally me, or, you know, someone else. A lot of the times BJ, we're on the job using that piece of equipment. If you set the stage and do all that stuff, it can look great in a commercial, but in an environment where you're really trying to showcase the product, it's very difficult to show what it can actually do unless it's doing it.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about, like, we still have our lawn and landscape business. I cut grass every day. I was out last night plowing snow for way too long. You know, that's the cool thing. So when somebody sends us a product, we're not like just like, hey, here's this cool thing, go buy it. Like, I think that's kind of salesy is not even the right word. I think it's just kind of like disingenuous. You know, it's not genuine when you do that. And I'm not saying anybody does that. I'm just saying, when we get something, we go put it to work, we get it dirty, and we go mess around with it. Like, somebody sends us a mower, we're going to let you know in a week whether or not it's a piece of junk or not, because we're cutting 30 lawns a day. You know, we hustle, man. Like, we still have 100 lawns that we take care of. We have 11 to 12 commercial snow accounts and 20 to 30 residential driveways. We're plowing snow, we're mowing grass. You know, we're doing what you guys are doing. And you know, one thing that I always, to go full circle, what you were talking about, Ben, when the companies partner with us, we let them know you can't squelch our voice. You cannot throttle anything that we say. Because I've had companies that, if it's good, they want us to share about it. Right, BJ?
Exactly.
If it's bad, hey, why don't you send that to us first, and then we'll decide if we want it to go out. No, that's not how it works.
What I actually try and do is I actually try and not either demo or review a product that I know is not going to be fit for the commercial application. So when we work with Hustler, they obviously have, you know, the Super Zs and the Super S and all of their commercial line, but they have their whole entry level line with the Raptors and everything like that. And I always say to them, like, there is no point in getting someone like me to even really look at those machines. I do think that some of those machines still have their place for a commercial guy starting out, maybe a school campus, or, you know, some of those on sites where you're not bashing them and taking them on and off trailers all the time. But that's definitely one way that I get over those speed bumps, is to say, let's just focus on the commercial stuff. Let's highlight that. And then that way, not only can we be genuine, but we just avoid any of the bullshit, you know, like, instead of getting smashed on social media or, you know, whatever the case is, let's just avoid it.
Well, and I don't know about you guys, but I would imagine you guys have seen people make posts, lawn care or otherwise, right? Different industries. And they're like, hey, check out this thing. And I'm like, dude, there's no way you use that product or service. Like, and you know what? Here's the thing. Here's where I'm at. If you got paid to, like, say that it's good or to just use it one time, just tell me. Like, I don't care. If you just wanted to get $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, I don't know. That's fine. That's cool. Good for you. Like, awesome. Like, go get the bag, you know, but don't be dishonest. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, hey, I'm getting paid to say these things, which you have to disclose anyway. The FTC, like, really, that's the in the US. If you don't reveal and say these things and let people know it's an ad or sponsored or provided to you or a partnership or you're getting paid, like, they'll come down on you. It's a $50,000 fine.
Oh, well, we don't have anyone regulating that part of it at all for us, do we? I've never heard of it.
I've seen a few. Now you can, like on Instagram, it's like a paid sponsor logo comes up. I've seen a few, but I don't know how much in Australia that is. I think that's a lot of, because I look at a lot of content from around the world. So
yeah.
So in Australia, it's a little different where, like, probably only the last couple of years, the brands have gotten on board with influencers. And so I know the work that I do is not to demonstrate or influence or promote the product necessarily. It's usually market testing, because in your market, you guys cut the grass so much higher than us.
Sure.
Over here, we're cutting 2 inches. And what it means with some of the mowers is that they don't discharge the grass the same way. And also, sometimes, you know how you guys might talk about, say, stragglers, where the mower goes over it and you might have to double cut. That is our life here, every line.
Wow.
Every line. Because we're mowing so low, what happens is the front of the deck will push the leaf down, and then you have your inner baffle. And depending on how fast you're going, that grass stays pushed down before it can even get back up for the blade to hit it. So a lot of the stuff that we do, BJ included, he just did all of the Australian market testing for the Skag SFC30 self-propelled. And there's so many things that need to be changed for our market. And BJ had to test that unit and report back. Then we had to get the Skag factory. Sorry, when I say we, BJ had to get the Skag factory to agree this machine will not work here unless this change is made.
And 100%, it was already underway, because I don't know if it's Florida, they cut a little bit more like us, that lower. So they did, you know, you guys are like a year ahead of us when it comes to testing. Like even things like, I wanted an Echo PB 8010, and I was watching all the video over in the US. I'm like, oh, I really want one. Took us a year to get them over here, but as soon as I got it, I was in love. But yeah, man, it's really cool. Like that's one of the benefits. So I kind of had a win. Sounds funny, but I paid for my machines before I became a brand ambassador. So when people are like, "Oh, he's just getting stuff for free," I'm like, "Nah, I pay for those machines every week. Like I got them on finance, so I'm paying for them every week. The money is not mine anymore."
I get the same stuff, brother. I have people like say I get everything for free. That is not the case. I wish, because I'll just tell you honestly, like if somebody wanted to send me a new truck right now, do you think I'd say yes or no? I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Like if somebody wanted to give me $50,000 to test out a lawnmower, what would you do? Of course you would say yes. And I know somebody's going to say, no, it's like, dude, yes, you would too. Shut up. Yeah, you would too.
So that's sorry to cut you off. I was going to say that's the same thing. Like we did the product testing for the Hustler Super S stand on.
Yeah.
And when people say, oh, you know, he's going to get this mower for free or, you know, whatever. But we had to put like a couple of 100 hours on that machine. We had to mow in wet conditions, dry conditions. We had to fill out reports. We had to give them solid feedback, which at the time, Catch Pro was a bit smaller. But like as we got bigger in Catch Pro, I had to go out and cut grass with this machine because I had to report back. Now, they did take that machine back. I didn't get that machine, which is fine. But we got the same distributor has the Spartan distribution. So we got the 54 kg. And I was really lucky that we got the demo unit when you guys were in your winter. So they hadn't been released.
Gotcha.
We still have that now. And we've actually like molded a whole part of our business around it because The mower is so fast. It's a good size mower. We've grown our business with the mower, and
Sure.
we've given them all our feedback. No, nobody has asked for the mower back, but some people say like, "Oh, you lucky bastard, you're going to get a free mower." And I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I deserve this mower. Like the things that we have done, like I have to every, say month or quarter, I have to take at least 6 hours out of my day to drive to the factory, and we go over the whole machine. We literally sit there for hours on end, and we go over the whole machine and say, okay, this point here is wearing, this is doing this is fantastic, let's leave that. And there is a lot involved in all of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just comes down to one or two things as the takeaway. One, nothing is free, right? And so one, like you said, the work that you have to do when you get the mower. Now I'm grateful. I'll acknowledge the fact, yeah, it's a $10,000-$20,000 lawnmower. Awesome. Thank you. Thank God. But number one, it takes a lot of time and effort to shoot the videos, do the feedback. It's not free. Number two, most people that follow me or my content or know where my heart is, they're happy for me. It's the vocal 1% that wants to complain. But my response is always honestly the same answer is, hey, go, if you want a free mower, go spend a few years creating your social media, get it big, and I guarantee you that you'll get the same kind of brand deals and opportunity. It is a level playing field. Nobody's special. Nobody's important. Nobody's ego is out of whack. Nobody's an influencer. That's just it's just not true. So like they always say, like there's two ways to have the biggest building in town. One is to build yours up, and the other one's to smash everybody else's down. Like, that's all it is. Like if you want a free mower, then go build your big tower. But please don't bash the other guy. Be grateful, be happy, be excited for BJ or somebody else who gets a free piece of equipment. By the way, it's a lot of work. Like I have 850 YouTube videos. I have 300 podcasts. I have 3,000 posts on Instagram. I've worked a part-time, full-time job, 20 to 30 hours a week with my social media business for 5 years. It's a real business. And so somebody who doesn't understand that, I have to give them grace that they might not understand what we're doing because they just think I get something for free. But it's not free, right? Like it's the same thing, by the way, with LeBron James or Kobe, late Kobe, or Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods or Federer. Like they get a Buick not because they drive a Buick. They could buy a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But they drive a Buick because they get $10 million and then people buy Buicks. So nobody cares that Kobe or LeBron or Michael Jordan are getting hooked up with an Escalade. But the minute one of us, a lawn bro, makes a little bit of progress and gets a free piece of equipment, other lawn bros are going to pull us down. No. That's not how this community works. We're going to encourage each other. We're going to lift each other up, and we're going to be happy for other people because a rising tide raises all ships. And if BJ gets a mower, that just means I might have that much more of an opportunity when the next mower is available for it to go to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to pull BJ down. I'm going to push him up, and I'm going to say, I'm going to get mine next. Okay. And that's called a rising tide raises all ships. And people that just want to be catty or pull people down, this isn't the community for you.
Yeah, I think we've been pretty lucky. I don't think we've had like a massive amount of negative Nellies over here. You reckon?
So on our podcast, the Australian community has been really great.
Well,
We've been getting.
I know it. I feel the love.
Yeah. We're only one of two, I think, Australian lawn care podcasts. So we get over pretty good. But I was gonna address this later in the show about haters, and because I see the things that get written about Corey. I know you've got a guy that is just spamming the hell out of you. I forget his name, Teddy.
Teddy. Yeah,
you don't have to comment publicly, but
he's my biggest fan. But Teddy's I think mentally incapacitated. Something's wrong with him. But he's also this close from getting $100,000 lawsuit pushed at him. So Teddy, if you're watching this, keep going, bud. You're just digging, and I got the whole paper trail. But anyway.
Well, so I did, yeah. So I was going to sort of ask you, because I know that you don't respond back a lot, but does it affect you personally, or do you just wipe that away?
No, I mean, why? They're promoting me. Yeah, my goal is not to be liked. My goal is to be known. So why do I care if somebody likes me?
Yeah, dude, yeah. I do get it, and it's very professional as well to sort of just either embrace it or to use it, any way that you can as a positive. But the only reason why I wanted to bring it up is I catch heat too. Like in Australia, a lot of the products that we're selling, whether it be equipment defender, ISO tunes, Ballard products, doesn't really matter what it is. Everything is pretty expensive. And sure. So you run Facebook ads and you spend all this time, and then you get like a comment saying like, oh, what an overpriced piece of shit or junk or, whatever. And I have a very thick skin. It's very difficult to offend me. But where I get cut the deepest is that, you spend your money, you put yourself out there, and then it's a public thread. So someone can say, oh, that's a piece of shit. And then you've got like what, a couple of 100,000 people who can see that. And that's where I talked to Corey about it, and he's like, no, Ben, you just got to stop responding. And I'm here and I'm like, hey, let's fucking meet up, or let's do something about this. And, I'm just not the most professional when it comes to that. But where it hurts me is that no one knows what it took to get that product to Australia. It's not easy.
No, the same thing with YouTube. I mean, nobody knows in that corner over there on my computer where I edit all my videos, or on my MacBooks that I literally burned through. Nobody knows but me and my wife how hard we worked to build what we built. And same thing with cutting grass. I was busting my knuckles. I worked outside at 10 o'clock at night with mosquitoes biting you. I've for years, for a decade, I've put in my dues. Nothing was given to me, like my truck, my trailer, the first mowers, none of that stuff. Nothing was given to me. And maybe we get a free mower here and there now, but come on. Like I always tell people, my rig is $120,000 going down the road. I bought all that. Yeah. And then somebody wants to say, well, YouTube bought his truck. Well, that's not true. In 2017, I bought my truck. I'd only been on YouTube for 2 years. My first year doing YouTube, I made $1,000. My second year, I made like $4,500. So if you finance anything in the US, they take 2 years tax returns and then they average it. So my YouTube business was making $2,500 a year. That's not going to help me get over the hump to qualify to buy a $60,000 truck. Okay. It's just not how, so that income wasn't even factored in. Right. So I had to qualify to get the loan for the truck based on the actual lawn care company. Right. So it's just really simple. Like, so if I already know that, I don't have to answer to somebody else who wants to question how that works. I don't care. The only person's opinion I really give any merit to is my wife's, and then what my God says about me. So at the end of the day, I don't have any problem with anybody, man. I live so hang loose, so free, because if somebody wants to criticize or critique or condemn or complain, and some of that's legit, some of it's like, hey, there's a problem, we got to fix it. Or I said something stupid I shouldn't have. Like nobody's infallible, right? At least none of us. All right. But here's the deal. It's okay. I appreciate the feedback, but the nasty things, the mean things, the lies, dude, who cares? I mean, look at LeBron James or Michael Jordan or pick your best baseball guy or football guy, Ronaldo, or pick your guy. If they miss the goal or the touchdown or the free throw and they blow the game, dude, 50 million people hate them for 3 days. And people are like, well, somebody said something bad about me on the internet. Okay, dude, like, grow up. Nobody cares. You're the only one that cares about this, because the reality is everybody's living their life. Nobody cares. And a day from now, you're not going to care about this either. Right now, you're fixated on it. But that's about anything in life. But like, if a professional athlete like misses the touchdown at the Super Bowl, the Rams and I don't even know who played, but I think the Rams were in there. I got nothing. But whoever like didn't get the touchdown, like 100 million people in the country hate that guy right now.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got real problems, like real haters, real people on Instagram, like complaining about that guy. Like for me, somebody's like, well, he's fake and he doesn't even mow grass anymore because he's white and he's never tan because I only wear long, because I'm 35 now and I wear long sleeves and hats to keep the sun off me, but somehow I'm fake. Like, come on, like I Ben, you'll love this, or BJ, you'll appreciate this. I had somebody say, this got me a couple years ago. We have the NALP. It's like the National Association of Landscape Professionals.
Yep.
Just a big green industry organization, right? Whatever. I had somebody like 4 years ago leave a comment that the NALP is secretly funding me to give me a bunch of equipment and to make lawn care look cool, to recruit more kids into the green industry.
You know what?
Conspiracy theories.
You know what though?
That's
if that was true, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
no.
hey, I need to call them up and get my check.
We need to put a triangle up here and do the Illuminati confirmed thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard it all, man. And I'm just like, I heard somebody say one time I got paid $30,000 to promote Echo products like trimmers and blowers, the PB8010. I've never got a dime from Echo. Still, yeah. I've got Echo probably, I don't know, 1 to 2 million views on YouTube, which is a lot, but it's also not a lot. But it's a lot. I've gotten 0. I've got like maybe 2 free trimmers and maybe a leaf blower. Wow. Yeah. Like so people are like, oh, you get $1,000 of free product, and I'm just gonna say Echo is amazing forever. No, like, dude, it's a $300 trimmer. It's not gonna. I'm way past the point where you're gonna give me something and me be nice to you just because you think I'm supposed to be nice to you. Like, that's just not how it works. And that's and that's okay. You know, like, most people get it. A couple people are weirdos, and that's fine. I don't know, man. Like, some people, like, I heard somebody say, like, even if Jesus was on the street corner giving out gold bars, somebody would still criticize him.
Oh, mate, yeah.
100%.
I mean, I just a quick last touch on this topic, but I see some of the things that I'll just use Corey as an example. You know, they attack his wife. They say like the worst things, and I'm like I sit there and I just think like, man, you dudes are ruthless over there. Like, if someone, you know, had said that about my wife, there, like, I would be responding publicly, and I would, you know, I couldn't just wipe that aside. But like, I know that, you know, he's different to what I am, but it just amazes me how someone can like bring someone down publicly so much. It's different in person. If someone was to reach out to me privately, they've obviously got much bigger balls and there's a bigger agenda. But someone just saying something in a public thread, it's like, man, you know, like, just how small must that person be?
There's trolls in every facet of life these days. There's, you know, no one can do everything right for everyone. It's
no, and that's just the world we live in today, man. If you bodybuild and you make an Instagram post about flexing, half the comments are going to say awesome. The other half are going to do a little syringe emoji. It's true though. Like, and if you're a girl shout out to all the women that probably watch the podcast, right? Like all 2 of them. But that's not my podcast.
We actually have a couple. Don't we?
I think we might have a few. I think we might have a few lady contractors. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that's what.
Oh, there you go.
What just happened?
Yeah.
My phone went low power mode, but yeah, there's three ladies on your podcast. but if you're a lady, if you dress pretty, you're a blank. If you dress ugly, you're unattractive. So where's this measuring line, right? Like, are you promiscuous? Are you too conservative? If you're so conservative, you're not going to be attractive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's like you can't make everybody happy. And like you said, there's a couple fringe loonies out there, and that's what the law is for. I mean, that's I've had to call the police, and we've had people have not restraining orders, but we've had people talked to by police departments. That happens, but it happens when you get big on social media. Like, it's just a part of life. There's a couple loonies out there, but yeah, like you said, Ben, to what gets me is when somebody's criticizing somebody else and saying verbally mean things and lies, but that person has kids.
Yeah.
That as a new father, I have a 6-month-old baby. I don't understand how somebody could operate that immaturely as an adult and as a man.
Yeah.
Period. Like,
we've both got 3 kids, so
yeah, that's just real talk embarrassing. And so you named somebody earlier, they have a kid, and to put that example on for your kids, that's ultimate pathetic. Outside of anything I can do legally, how bad of an example are you trying to be for your kid?
I know, you can only imagine what, say some of these kids, I won't use that person as a direct example, but you can only imagine their everyday home life, what they're exposed to or what they're potentially exposed to. Trying to be a little bit politically correct here. But
that's more concerning. That's the real concern. That's if you're saying this out loud, what are you saying behind the scenes? That's what I want to know.
And negativity breeds negativity. Like, if you're a negative person, you're gonna have negative kids. And they're going to have negative kids, and they're always going to have that chip on the shoulder that someone else is doing better than me. Let's bring them down instead of just letting them be. But
and it's just sad. It's depressing. But you know what? I can't save everybody, right? It's not my problem. I have to stay positive. I have family. Like my mom is on our payroll. My mother-in-law is on our payroll. They help watch the baby, and we retired them just as grandparents. Nothing fancy or extravagant. But they were both working like $2 $10 an hour jobs, and they're both like 60 and 70. So we just said, hey, like, we're making enough. We'll put you on the payroll. But I can't get lost in the negativity, like you were saying, BJ. When I have to take care of my wife, my baby, my mom's, my family. People like you guys that watch. This is a priority, not those people. So like you said, I like to focus on the positive.
Well, let me be a quick example to everyone else out there listening that when I'm spending my time responding to some of the haters, it is taking time out of my direct day. My wife does come up to me sometimes and say, like, oh, what's going on or something. And I'm like, oh, I'm just, responding back to some slap dick or, like I'm saying something like that. And she's like she's an admin of Catch Pro as well. So she can shut me out. And then I no longer have access to it. And so, that happens sometimes. And, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's not about responding back to abuse someone. It's more to put something in the comments to say, like, this comment is not correct. Like when someone says, oh, I can't believe you're charging X amount for this product. Sure. You're making so much money for something that costs you nothing. What I am trying to say is that there is so much more involved than simply purchasing something and reselling it, especially in the Australian market. By the time you ship that, pay for customs, convert the American dollar, market the product, handle the product, sell the product, everything like that, you're going to need to make some money out of it, You don't do that.
Well, and at the end of the day, like you took a risk, you should get the reward.
Exactly.
Period. And people that complain about the cost of something, for example, like you don't look at the cost of something, you look at the value and the benefit associated, right? So a bagger's $400, but it can make you $40,000 doing cleanups. So let's not get caught on, hey, and here's the thing too, like maybe the next hater you get, Ben, ask them this. Hey, what do you think the product should be priced at?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's not $400, what do you think? And they'll say it should be $90. Okay, would that make you happy? Why not $80? And they're gonna go, well, why 80? You go, you know what? Let's not do 80. Let's do 50. And because why is it fair to have it at 90? Why isn't it not better to have it at 50? Right? Like if you really are complaining, well, let's get to the real bottom, like to the thing. Is it the money? Is it that you don't like that he came up with the idea first? Oh, now we struck a nerve.
Yeah.
So it's never really like the first issue, right? It's always like the underlying issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
And that's where you have to have grace for people. You just have to love on people. Like I believe it or not, I'm not a butthead. I'm not argumentative with people. I'm just so over all of that because I just want to love on people and say, hey, I love you, man. Like if you hate me, I still love you. Like friend or foe, we're all good. And there's so much money to be made. There's so much work to get. There's so much opportunity out there. When you really start looking at what we can do and we stop fighting, then there's money to be made, man. Let's just go hustle. Let's go make it happen.
Yeah.
What are they? Well, here, last thing I'll say, I saw a quote, and I've heard this before, but it was an idle, what is it, like an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Speaking of making money, we started this podcast with not financial goals, but is that something that you started your podcast for? Were you like, I've dominated the YouTube thing, so now I might switch to something a little bit different? And because we really haven't made a cent yet, have we?
No, this has cost us money.
We're going backwards.
I was like, good for you guys. You're making money. I got to take notes.
No, we're going backwards. No, it was the amount of time that we put into this, and because we don't use a production company or anything like that. I produce everything that we do. So we kind of, we're running at a bit of a negative, but you got any tips for us? Like, how's it all been going for you? Like, you've been going for a while now and dropping multiple episodes. Like,
yeah, I would say the podcast is for profit, I guess, if you like think about it. Like, we run ads on it. Yeah. So we have this much for production costs and we charge this much for an ad. And so we make that, whatever that is, right? And so that's profit. But if the podcast didn't make money, I'm totally cool with that because it's really an opportunity for me to share long format content with our fans and our friends and our followers. It's really hard to do that on YouTube. Yeah. People aren't going to sit still for 30, 40, 50 minutes on YouTube, but they'll listen to an interview on a podcast when they're on their lawnmower or at the gym or at the grocery store, right? So for me, the whole reason to do the podcast was I was making all these business videos and this long format content on YouTube. YouTube doesn't promote that stuff. It actually hurts your channel, go figure. So I'm like, 2 years ago, I was frustrated. So I ended up starting the podcast and taking all of that content and putting it over to the podcast, which, by the way, that's what podcasting is, right? It's long format content. You're going to be there for a while, for an hour, at least 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a perfect blend to get that content off of YouTube, which was penalizing me anyway, get it over to the podcast. And now I can help people with their business and do interviews and really pour into people. Here's what I've said. I've done more with 300 podcasts than I've done with 800 YouTube videos times 10 because and I've got 25 million views on YouTube and 1 million downloads on the podcast. I know I made a bigger impact with the 1 million downloads on the podcast than 25 million YouTube views times 10, like, because you can work on people's minds and do brain surgery, right? We can talk business and success and best practices. YouTube, people don't care. People want to watch cat videos and watch leaf blower wars or trimming grass or yeah.
Well, where it started for us is it was BJ's idea. He has always been a big podcast, listener when he just in other genres. Myself, I've always been a music guy. So like, when I'm mowing and snipping and, doing all of those things, whether it's building catches, whatever, I just put those tunes on, takes me back to, certain times of my life. And that's how I used to mellow.
Yeah.
So I agreed reluctantly, only because I was I didn't know how it was going to come off, but we're getting over pretty good. And now it's hilarious. When people buy anything from my website, there's a little notes section, whether it be like a postal message or whatever it is. But quite often they say like, "Hey Benny, love the Skull Sessions, listening to it right now," and then they buy stuff,
cool.
and it's just awesome. Plus, I always tell our audience that if they have a problem with anything, to direct their hate mail to TBL Property Maintenance.
I'll take it. I'll take it on board. No, it's crazy. Like I was getting fuel the other day, and there were two contractors at the servo. And
wait, does he know what a servo is?
Oh, do you know what a servo is? Service
it's like
station. So like a petrol station.
Gas station.
Like gas station.
Yeah. So yeah, I was there, and there were two other contractors there, and both of them were speaking to me about the podcast, and I was like, I didn't know either of these guys, and I was just like, whoa, this is cool.
So funny story. We did this green industry hype house. We rented this big house down in Florida. Really fun time. Brought 20 different like influencers. Right. We don't really use that term, but
I watched some of them live.
Yeah, I saw some of it as well. Yeah.
It was a really good time. Well, there's a landscaper doing fresh mulch and some rock installation at the house. Like they were landscaping the house. So another guy, Caleb Allman, goes down and says, "Hey, do you ever watch anybody like lawn care people on YouTube?" And the guy was like, "Nah, not really. I'm more of like a podcast guy, but I think I've seen like a couple guys, maybe like this Brian guy." And Caleb goes, "Red truck?" He goes, "Oh yeah, Brian with the red truck." He goes, I've watched a couple of his videos." And Caleb's like, "Well, he's upstairs." And so Caleb told me, I went down, just said hey to the guy. I didn't want to bother him, but he's like, "Dude," he's like, "I watch your videos." I'm like, "Thanks, man." And so it is kind of weird. You never know, like I'm in some random part of Tampa, Florida, who knows where, but it happens more times than you think. And I'm always grateful and appreciative, right? Because like you don't like live for the feedback, but it's nice to know that people are listening and watching.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much because I am just one of those people, like ever since I left school, I might have had like a little bit of a few years of a social life. Then, I was married with children, and it's not like I've always been good at connecting with people, but it's not like you're going out and you're meeting new friends all the time and stuff like that. And it's hilarious now that my wife, like, she just knows me as Ben, right? And, she's like, "Oh, one of your little fanboys is messaging you," or, and she's always giving me a hard time that, but I'm like, what our whole approach is, and the reason why we decided to do it is BJ and I would get on the phone almost every day, and we would just talk about, like the industry, what jobs he's got on, what hardships he's going through, things like that.
Like new equipment that would come in, and it just was like we were having such organic conversations. You'd look at your phone and be like, "Dude, we've been on the phone for like 45 minutes."
And we were just like, we should just record this shit and just get it out there and see how it gets over. And it's like, we don't make any money yet. And I have told BJ, like, I want to make some money. It only to justify the costs. I don't need to make a bloody wage doing it.
The unbillable hours that we're clocking up right now is crazy. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be on parent duty for the rest of today because I know that.
Yeah, like I'm going home. My mother and father-in-law just got home from 3 weeks holiday. They're at home waiting, probably jump in the pool, and then tomorrow I'm going to a zoo, I think.
Oh.
So yeah.
Hey, tomorrow I'm on baby duty because Liz is done, you know. So because I was plowing snow all this morning, right? So I got home at about 11:30, took a 6-hour nap. I don't know if that's a nap or sleep, but I took a 6-hour something siesta, and then I need to go get some food, so I got Chipotle, and but she's like, hey, tomorrow you're on baby duty all day, so that's my rule. But awesome. Yeah, you know what? One funny story. Maybe you guys will appreciate this. Do you guys have like hibachi grills, like restaurants?
Yeah, like Korean barbecue and stuff.
Yeah. So there's like 8 people in a horseshoe, right? Like a you know, like a U. And so anyway, one time we were at this hibachi place, and this guy comes up to me, and I'm there with my wife, my brother, his wife, my mom, my brother, 6 or 7 of us, and this big black dude comes over, really cool guy, and he goes, "Hey, are you Brian Lawn Maintenance, like the lawn care guy on YouTube?" I go, "Maybe." I go, "What up, no?" And he like literally screams. He goes, "Oh my God, dude, I watch all your YouTube videos." And I'm like, "Thanks, dude, I appreciate that." So he goes, "Yeah, my wife's over there." So I like look over, and his wife is like, hey, dummy, that's that guy you watch on YouTube. And so she was like this, you know, and she like pestered him to come say hey to me because he didn't want to interrupt us at the family, right? So it was really funny. But my sister-in-law goes, "Is that like one of your like fans from like YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. I don't know. He's just a regular dude, right?" So it was really funny, really awkward. Well, funny story about, I don't know, a month or 2 later, we go to this pizza shop. It's a sit-down pizza place. And we got to walk through some double doors at the entrance. And as we're like walking into the one doors, somebody else is walking out of the next door. And it's this dad and this like, I don't know, 19-year-old kid. And this kid goes, "Holy S." He goes, "Brian's Lawn Maintenance." Just drops like an S-bomb, you know. And I'm there with my wife and my brother and sister-in-law. And I'm like, "What's up, dude?" So we like, you know, bro fist, and you know, he's like, I love your videos, man. Keep it up. I'm like, "See you, dude." And so like we get inside, and my sister-in-law is like, "Is that like one of your like fans?" I'm like, yes, they're fans, they're friends, they're people. Like, so it's just like, it's funny and it's also weird at the same time. But like, I always tell people, like, please say hey, like, please leave a review, please shoot a DM, send an email, like, let us know you guys are out there. Like, don't take it for granted that like we don't get the kind of feedback that you guys think. You know, it's we put the podcast out there and it gets 2,000, 5,000 downloads, but you don't know who that is, right? And so when people stop you at a petrol station, right, or they stop you at a restaurant, or at a trade show, or they just shoot a message and say, "Hey, dude, like, appreciate your last podcast. I know it's a lot of effort, but I got a lot out of it. Super appreciate you." Like, that feedback means the world, because just to be honest with you, it's not like we're making $1 million doing this. Okay. Like elephant in the room. I'm not making $1 million. If I did, I would tell you. And if I did, you probably know, because I'd probably be driving a Lamborghini or something. But no, I'm in a 1,400 square foot apartment. So and I'm not sitting on $1 million. Okay. So just
quickly, we have a local contractors group. When I say local, it's Australia wide. It's got, you know, maybe 4,000 members, and it's cool. It's called Lawn Mowing Contractors Australia. And you wouldn't believe how many followers you have in that group. And BJ and I are both fairly prominent in the group, and we promised that we would get you to say g'day to LMCA members.
G'day, LMCA members.
Well done, mate.
Promise fulfilled.
That sounds
so much
that sounds
going
awful.
On. Like, you've got so much going on with everything. From your podcast, YouTube, your lawn care business. You've got your academy. you've got your media, like your social media company. How do you balance it all? Like, especially the pod, like, because we kind of want to know, like, the podcast, your YouTube, and your actual work, like your hands-on, on the tools work. Like, how do you balance all that?
I don't think I balance it.
It's crazy. Like,
at times it seems like a lot. At most times, I probably don't work as hard as a lot of people think. I will tell you what you see today is a lot of momentum. It's a lot of like,
I get
branding.
that.
It's a lot of branding. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of, this guy's awesome. Day to day, I'm not doing as much as you think. Here's the deal. I add a little brick, a little brick, a little brick, a little brick. And after 5 years, wow. But really every day I'm like, little bit, little bit, little bit. And that's actual success. Success is not, look at this awesome dude, lawn care or other business. It's not how success works. Success is every day you're doing a little bit. You're burning up the phone, you're hiring somebody, you're adding a new salesperson, whatever. That's real success. So that's how real businesses work. It's not this overnight success. So like today, I plowed snow from midnight to afternoon. I came home and I took a nap. I didn't do a lot with my social media today. I don't let it run me. Now we had a podcast drop this morning, but I had recorded that podcast 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. So I get in where I fit in, right? Like we create 3 podcasts a week. It takes about 3 hours. I hit start, I hit stop, I send it over to our producer. Very, very thankful for that.
Yeah.
YouTube, I make about 3 or 4 videos a week. I record about an hour of footage, maybe trim it down to about 15 minutes. Usually today I record about 20 minutes and I trim it down to about 15. That takes about an hour to edit and then to upload. So I got about 2 hours per video. So about 8 to 10 hours for YouTube. So I'm at 10 hours for YouTube, 3 to 5 hours for the podcast. And then making Instagram posts take no time. When I post on Instagram, it auto shares to Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. I don't even go on Facebook. So, and then maybe talking to a couple companies and doing some coaching calls. I put 15 to 20 hours a week into the business.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed out right now. My life is not in chaos.
No, you're super mellow, eh?
Yeah.
And we're just here like I need electrolytes, eh?
It's so hot in here.
I can feel it coming. So
yeah.
We've been rolling pretty long. I'm not sure if this is a long episode for you. We can wrap this up soon if you have to go, but I just wanted to quickly
I think we might have to because I think my phone's about to die. So
yeah, no worries. Well, we'll wrap this up shortly, but I just wanted to get just a quick perspective of, you've obviously teamed up with Ballard Products, and you guys have like I can tell it's an organic working relationship. Was there any conflict with his branding and some of the other previous deals that you have? And
no, not at all.
So like the fact that he's like a green touch guy and you're an equipment defender guy, that doesn't get in the way, or is it not even been spoken about?
You guys were chopping up a little bit. Is my connection still good? Sorry.
Might be okay now. We might have had something going on.
Yeah.
Did you not get the question though?
No rush, no worries. Yeah, you guys are there.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, you get better. That was better. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure it didn't like bug out. Because my phone probably is at 10%, so it slows down. You know how that.
Yeah, we'll roll it up soon, pal.
You're good. No, I haven't had any issues with anybody like that. Corey, we sell quite a bit of product for Corey, so I don't think he's ever had an issue. And the other brands, I'm not really taking any business away from them either by promoting Green Touch over Equipment Defender or ISO tunes over plug phones or whatever. And frankly, like I'm realistic. Like not everybody likes everything. You know, some people like green racks, some people like black trailer racks, some people like plug phones, Some people like isotunes. There's no right or wrong answer. We just have a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's also very true as well. Same with mower brands. Like if you are an Exmark guy and you're pushing Exmark, if someone rings you and says, or reaches out and says, I've got an Exmark dealer that's 3 hours away, but I have a Skag dealer 15 minutes away, it's not like you can say, it still makes the most sense to go for Exmark. You know what I mean? It's just not, it's not true advice.
No, not at all. Like the Skag V-Ride 2 with the 37 EFI, awesome mower. Like I think it's a great unit. If somebody's got Skag 10 minutes down the road, I'm going to tell them go with Skag or Hustler or Wright or whoever. Yeah, you have to just be honest with people, because that's the last thing I'll say on that is I know what it's like to spend $600 on a leaf blower. And I know we get them once in a while for free, but the last two I bought, it was $1,100. I'm not going to wait for Red Max or Echo to send me leaf blowers. Like we had work to do, but at the end of the day, I know how much $600 meant to me a decade ago.
Yeah.
That's like $60,000 to me today. Like that's a lot of money, so I try to treat it very serious when I answer questions like on mowers or trimmers or products. Like if it's junk, we don't promote it. If it's good, I'm going to shoot you straight. And if you don't like it, that's totally cool too. But you got to be honest with people, man. Like that's just something I appreciate is honesty, integrity. You got to have it. I get frustrated when people are not honest. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
sure. Well, I think we might wrap this up. Your phone is dying. We are actually dying of like heat. But just wanted to say thank you so much for joining the Lawn Care Skull sessions. Hopefully we can grow this podcast. And it was great being on your podcast a few months ago.
You did great.
It's great with this whole community that we're building, and we all just love it.
Yeah, and hopefully we can catch up at the Equip Expo this year.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
It would be so cool, except that 18-hour flight is really discouraging me.
I've got so many movies to watch. I'm sweet.
That's a trek. Is it 18 hours, really?
Yeah. I think so. Well, I think it's 18 hours to wherever. Like, if we were going to go, is the show still in like Louisville?
Yeah.
I don't think you can fly from where we are like directly to Louisville or anything. You have to fly into LA or whatever first.
Wow. Well,
so
good luck.
That's all that. That's all that. What is it? Unpaid hours.
And if I'm gonna do it, I want to bring like my family and go to like Disneyland or Disney World or whatever. Yeah. And that is also scaring me, having 3 young children on a flight that long.
Oh my gosh, dude! There's no way.
Yeah.
Well, don't you have like the private jet now? Don't all the haters tell you that you have the private jet?
Oh, yeah. Can you fit me on?
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you very much, Brian. And we'll be talking to you again, hopefully.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you.
Thanks, mate.